Hello, Utsab.
Yes, sir.
Hello and welcome everyone to this wonderful webinar about igniting sustainability with Python, which is hosted by Engineers Connect. And I would also like to welcome Mr. Utsab Ray, who is the speaker of today's session. Utsab, you can go ahead with the session.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So basically, before starting a bit about this webinar, I would like to say a few about Engineers Connect, a wonderful platform. It is just meant for the engineers, as the name suggests. Okay, so Engineers Connect is basically a wonderful platform for each and every engineer to gain ample of opportunities and get upskilled. Okay, so it is the platform where each and everyone can explore. We will also provide the link in the chat as well. Okay, those who haven't yet registered, they can register and explore this wonderful platform. Okay, you will be getting the opportunity to apply for internships, jobs, as well as many other prospects, which will be helping you to get upskilled. So today's webinar is basically about the beginners. Okay. So we have been getting requests from everyone from many colleges or many states and many nations that they need an introduction about Python. They want to explore the language. So today's session is basically to build the framework of this Python language, what Python is actually, and we will show some basic coding. Okay, some live basic coding that will be helping you to get accustomed with this entire language. Okay, so initially I'll be demonstrating with you everyone about what Python is and how it's working, about the theoretical basis and how it's originated and everything that the topic most needed to be covered. Since this is a robust programming language, Python, so it's quite difficult to be covering up all the things. But I will try to demonstrate you or to explain you as much as I can about the programming from the basic foundrocks of that thing, as well as I will try to show you some basic coding that whatever programs you try to run in C, some basic programs like arithmetical operations or anything else to print or to run loop, that basic things I will also try to show you in Python, that in how much easier and how much feasibly you can do that thing and execute it in a smarter way. Okay, so without wasting a moment, I will be sharing my screen as well as a presentation first of all, and to demonstrate you the entire thing. Yeah, so I think my screen is audible, yeah, visible, and I am audible, right? Everything is all right, and I'm just making it full screen. Okay, yeah. So initially, I would like to introduce myself. So I am Utsav Rai, and it's been a year long back. My journey started with Engineers Connect, and it's been a wonderful and mirthful experience that I have been ongoing this time. And I am the college collaboration head and the managing team lead in this concern. And apart from this, I am just delighted to explore these wonderful opportunities that I'm availing through this entire platform, as well as working with this entire team of fresh interns as well as employees. And thanks to Bhushan sir as well, our CEO, he's been instrumental in each and every step of this concern and to develop this in a much more suitable and a smarter way. So, before starting, you will all be getting to know that what Python actually is, right? So, initially, Python is named after Monty Python, okay, and it is an open source from the beginning, and it has been invented in the Netherlands in the early 90s by Guido van Rossum. Okay, so it is being considered as a scripting language, but it is much more. Okay, it has various kind of features and robustness, and it is a scalable, object-oriented, and functional. Okay, you all might be knowing, right, that what is object-oriented programming means, right? So I am just repeating this term, object-oriented programming. What means that what to the programming paradigm is based. Okay, that it can contain a data, it can contain a code in various form of fields. okay, that are also maybe called as attributes or properties, and in the form of several procedures that are called methods. Okay, and it is increasingly popular day by day. Okay, so Python is basically a high level programming language, and it is an open source community driven language. Okay, so it also includes various kind of batteries. Okay, and as well as it is dynamically typed. Okay, so it is released under a license, okay, under a copyright holder that grants the rights to use, to study, the change and everything. Okay, and basically it is openly accessible because it has various kind of sources or various kind of code editors. Okay, and the source can be compiled or run in single time. Okay, it doesn't take any much hesitations or many much more lines of codes to execute. Okay, apart from various kind of language, why there is a craze in Python, right? Many of you have might been find that why Python is why everyone is speaking about Python. What is actually the craze is about? So unlike the MLN Avenue, there is a considerable base of developers. Okay, they are already using the language, and this language is considerably providing the opportunities of getting betterment each and every day. Okay, so tried and true, it is basically about language that have been developed since 1991, and the Python just came into existence, can be interfaced with component and object model. Okay, that can be used by Windows, and the most significant part is it can also interface with open source like GIS toolsets. Okay, so this is a major keynote thing that Python has. Okay, so this robustness, apart from this robustness, this is also a major thing, right? So the original applications can also be done, right? Suppose for an example, GIS vector, image processing system, management system, spatial modeling, everything can be done. Okay, so this is the basic advantage as well as the formulation and the instrumentation part that has been approaching of the Python. So Python interfaces can be ideally the integrated development learning environment. So it is basically a cross-platform for Python development environment, and the Python shell, or it's basically for running the Python from command line. Okay, this is about the interactive shell or the environment that is being provided to the users. Okay, and Python Win is then basically a Windows that can only interface to Python, and for the exercises and everything for writing simple codes, you can use Python. Ideally, there are various versions of Pythons are available. Python 3.7, 3.9 are also available. You can also use Google Colab as well. Okay, so I will be showing the some live demonstration in Google Colab itself. Basically, the arithmetic or the basic parts that I am demonstrating to you. So it will be in Google Colab. You can also perform it there simply. It's very simple and easy to execute. Okay, so Python is basically about installing part. It's basically you can install it from just typing it like Python latest version download. You can download it from Google as well, and you can also get the pre-installed versions in various OS like Linux or Mac. Okay, there are the Python is automatically installed there, and basically it has a large library of standard modules. Okay, so here is basically the link. Okay, that I have been given here. Okay, I will also share it in the chat box, or you can also search it by taking a screenshot of this image as well, or the link as well. You can just simply type it, and you can get it downloaded. Okay, so there are various several options of integrated development environment. Okay, so ideally works well with Windows. Okay, Emacs with Python mode of your favorite text editor as well, and for PyDev Eclipse works as well. So apart from this, there are also various kinds. There are like code editors like Spider, Pycharm, okay, Anaconda. There are various kind of code editors. You can also run your Python codes there as well. Okay, so the Python 2, Python 2.1, they are the old versions of Python available, so they can be downloaded from the official site as well. These are the old sites where they initiated, and you can also, as I have already told you, that you can also do it from Google Colab as well. So Python scripts. So basically, when you call a Python program from the command line, the interpreter evaluates each expression in the file. Okay, so basically the Python script are familiar mechanisms. Okay, that are used to provide command line arguments. Right. So in command line arguments, to redirect the input and output, basically you need Python scripts. Okay, so command line arguments that basically are given of the name of the program in the command line shell itself of the operating system. And there are various three most various common things that are available, right? Using sys.argvui, okay, gt opt module. There are various kinds. Okay, the arguments which are basically given after the name of the program in the command line shell itself, you can find in the operating system. There are only the command line arguments. Okay, and it also possesses the mechanism to allow a Python program to act as a script as well as a module. Okay, it can be imported and used by another Python program as well. So it is a very suitable as well as the instrumental part. So the interactive shell that Python provides, okay, so the code editor or wherever you will write the code, so it is great for learning the language. Okay, because when you will be experiencing the thing in your own hands, you will be getting to know that whatever facilities are that will be getting. Okay, so you no need to write various lines of code. It is the initial thing, and there are other several advantages that Python possesses, because apart from the robustness or apart from the object oriented programming, it also possesses the improved productivity as well. Okay, it is also dynamically typed, and it has fast libraries, right? So when you will be getting up to a higher level, we may conduct a session on the higher level of Python in upcoming days. So there you can also find that what are the fast libraries that Python supports, right? About the portability as well. Okay, and it is basically an interpreted language, and it is great, or as I can say that it is best for testing your own modules. Okay, the modules that you have. Okay, so there is a basic example of a code, right? Printing hello world. Just you have to write print hello world, and you can also execute the code on your own. Those who know Python, so you all know, you'll be getting familiar with all these stuffs. There is nothing such a big deal. Okay, so basically this is ideally a development environment. I have just shown you with a color coding, that the comments. Okay, for an example, by adding a hashtag, the comments are red. Okay, so you can also do a string, just simple, a single line of code. No need to declare, no need to add header footer, nothing else needed to be included. Just to you can follow the coloring itself. A single line entails everything. So debugging or auto incident or interactive shell can is an integrated part of this development environment, because in this Python code itself you will be getting to know that whatever the opportunities or whatever the easiness or the robustness that you can be facing, because since it is a dynamical language, so it has always improved productivity day by day. Its scope, its approach, its use is being increasing. Okay, so the libraries as well, and the extensibility. Okay, the point that I have missed out previously, that extensibility is also a major thing, because it provides open access for readability as well, because the burden of the coder or a programmer reduces. Okay, so example of a Python is just to given here. You can find that prints hello world to standard out, right? You can follow this ideally. It's a Python interactive shell, and it's printing hello world. So more than just printing strings as an object has method, we all know, and that return the result on a function of the string. Since Python is an OOP, I already told you that object oriented programming. So it's practically can be everything can be treated as an object, right? So since everything is treated as an object, so Python also has various features that are used in the OOP framework, object oriented programming framework, like encapsulation, abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, the four main features, and everything can be treated as an object. So it is a major advantage that the object oriented programming possesses in order a relationship to the Python. Okay, and it also enforces modularity. Okay, and it take any shape, and as well as the various kind of features I've already told, that cross platform, open source as are also a part of it. So what is a program? I have explained. I have also demonstrated few things before. Don't worry if you don't get to know all these things. I'm just explaining those things coming up, so you will be getting a proper synchronization of what I explained. Okay, so what is program? So program, we all know, in a simple word, a language. Okay, so how do we demonstrate a language? We require algorithm. Okay, an algorithm is written in a programming language that can be translated into a real machine. Okay, so you also often call programs a software. That's not an issue, but basically program is a interpretable language. Okay, and it is somewhat a natural language with a limited set of statements and syntax rules as well. And it has several kind of statements to implement conditional processing, iterative processing. For iteration, you use loops, right? For condition, you use if else, as well as various kind of algorithms we developed. Mm, as well as there are various kind of examples of languages are there. Okay, so what is a compiler? You all need to know before going a delve into the programming. You all need to know what is a compiler, because compiler is the one who converts the program in a programming language into a native language, okay, or a machine language, that what machine is understanding to execute the entire program. Because to execute the entire program, you need to make the machine understand that whatever you are speaking, right? So this is what the task of a compiler is. Okay, so you can see that first of all the algorithm is given, okay, and it is being translated by a human being into a program, and from the program to the computer, the compiler comes into action and converts the machine code into to the machine for sustainability as well as output. Okay, and it takes the entire program in one go. At once it completes, it covers up the entire program, and it generates an intermediate machine code. Okay, so it is a data flow, just algorithm is being represented in the editor part and the program in the programming language. What a compiler can be is helps in converting the program machine language in a real computer, and input output operations simultaneously takes place. Okay, and similarly in the control flow, when the editing part starts, in the compilation part, if there are any errors, the errors are being highlighted, and neglecting all those errors, the program is further run by taking the input and the output. And the errors that are being faced while compiling is the syntax error, and the errors that are being faced in the runtime are the runtime errors. Okay, so the errors are basically being represented here. So to get familiar with the programming language, you need to know that whatever errors you might face, right? So syntax error is some statement in the program is not legal, or it is not a part of the language. For an example, I know English and someone knows Spanish. So according to me, I may say that Spanish is not my language, so it's not fall under my syntax, or it not bound to the code of this language. So this is what syntax error means. Okay, and the logic error is usually about the program execution to the completion. Okay, whatever the error is being faced, but it also gives the incorrect results. And runtime error is basically an error that occurs when the program is executing and it is causing the program to terminate. For an example, an illegal operation, right, dividing anything by zero, right, we get infinity. It is a runtime error. It is not related anything to the syntax, because syntax is correct. You have written the language correctly, but you have done something wrong while interpreting, while executing the entire thing. So that is what runtime error sustains. On the other hand, alternative to the compiler, we have an interpreter. So what is an interpreter? Interpreter is, rather than converting our program language to the computer, the interpreter takes our programs one statement at a time and executes the corresponding set of machine instruction. So the basic difference you all can find out, like I can also find out, that interpreter converts the instruction from the high level to the machine level line by line, but the compiler do it at once. Compiler doesn't bother to do it, or bear the patience actually to do it statement wise. It do it at once, but the interpreter executes or checks line by line. So this is the keyword. Whenever anywhere you can face this question in an interview as well, that whatever the difference between the compiler and interpreter is. So interpreter takes a single line of code at a time, but the compiler takes the entire block of statement at once. Okay, and it is best suited for software development environment, because any software development environment you need an interpreter, because whenever writing 100 lines of code at once, if you find any error, it's difficult to for you to figure out whatever the code is. So the interpreter will then come into action and will direct you that whatever the error, in which line you are facing that particular error. So that is what the task of interpreter is, to figure out the thing line by line, the code or the any block of statement that has similar error, it will be demonstrating to that entire part. So that is what the function of interpreter lies. Okay, so similar to the flowchart, the flowchart of interpreter is also being given. Syntax or runtime errors in interpreters are given at once. Okay, in compiler, what do we find that at the time of execution and at the time of running, both the cases were different. But in interpreter, at the time of output, everything syntax or runtime error appear at once. Okay, so basically, in relation to Python, the interpreter, compiler, and the other terms that I am being demonstrating as well, I am just replenishing these things once so that you might not get messed up with this thing. That it is a real world production language, right? So you all can find the real world thing because I have given the real world examples about the Python interpreter, about the algorithm. You can find the real world things. You are giving an instruction to anything, and whatever the processing is being done, you are getting the respective output to that particular statement. So it is freely available for most of the computers. Okay, and if you want to copy Python, just you can go to there, and using any environment, any interpreter, you can write compiled programs. Okay, and it is especially good for our purposes because it does not have any overhead before getting started. Okay, and it is easy to experiment in an interactive fashion as well. Python also provide this platform everyone for everyone. Okay, so language terminology. So the syntax is the formal rules of legal statement in the language, and semantics is the meaning of the statement, what happens when the statement is executed. That is what semantics means. And system is the formal rules, or the some basic rules that you need to follow while writing a language, right? So that is what syntax and semantics means in a language. Whenever you get to learn any language, you need to know these conceptions, otherwise you can't proceed, you can't figure out whatever your error is. Okay, so sequential means the three basically about starting sequential, conditional, and iterative. There we all know, or many of you might be covering up all these things while doing up C programming. That they are the control constructs of the programming. In an execution, you need these three things, otherwise execution is not possible. So these three things work in a systematic way as a flow of instruction to the entire machine. So sequentially is basically simply do steps one after another when they are listed line by line. Okay, conditional is to decide which statement is to be executed based on that, or true or false test. Okay, conditional if else structures. Okay, iterative we can use loops. Loops are basically a state of statements. It is repeated over and over. We no need to write 100 lines of code. You just write single line, running a loop in the ascending or descending order, and the entire thing is being done. Okay, so that is what iterative means. Okay, so sequential operator is basically input, computation, and output. These three things basically done. So in the computational part itself, whatever the execution is being done, the interpreter checks line by line, or the compiler does. Okay, so basically in the program part, whatever we will be doing, we will be just doing with the variables as values and some basic programs. Okay, you can also experience with some user input or perform some algorithms which will fetch you the result as an output. When I'll be showing some code, I will be also demonstrating you in this platform a basic pattern of demonstrating. Okay, so now coming to identifiers. So basic as a part of programming language, Python also have an identifier. So they are basically the names of various program elements in the code that uniquely identify the elements. Okay, so they are the name of the things like the variables or the functions that are required to be performed, and they are also specified by the programmer as well because their purpose needs to be noted, their purpose needs to be identified wherever executing, and they are made of letters, digits, and underscores. The same syntax follows, and it must begin with a letter or an underscore. It not begin with any digit or any number. Okay, so keywords are basically the reserved words in Python. Okay, similar to that. And because they are reserved, they cannot be used as identifier. They carry a special meaning. They already know. Python already knows what is the meaning of this. So we no need to declare or explain this thing to Python. No need of any conversion of any language. So this is what the keyword means. Okay, they are the reserved words. And variable, basically a structure of variable is a name which will be denoted by identifier. A data type, various kind of data type. Basically there are two kind of data types. One is primitive type and one is non-primitive type, and other than following categories, all int, float, double, everything comes into existence. Okay, and a variable should also have a storage space which is sufficient for the data type. Okay, in the numeric data type, I have only shown here two types, float and int, but there are also various double are also being there, because it's already it's the difference between float and double is basically of their size. Okay, float and double are for fractional part, and double is basically for storing large values, and integer int is for storing whole or positive numbers or negative numbers, nothing else. Okay, so for the integer operator, I will be also showing some integer live experiment in coding as well. So basically, they are used for addition, subtraction, multiplication, just simple line of code, and the precedence order being also being given. Okay, that whatever the execution, unary, binary operators, or prefix, postfix, the relationship is also being entailed. Okay, and parentheses will be used to dictate whatever the importance or whatever the execution process should be going on. Okay, so this is very important, and the integer expressions are basically formed using integer constants, integer variables, integer operators, as well as parentheses. Okay, so in Python the assignment statement usually equal to the operator, right, the assignment operator, and it has the expression in the form variable and expression. If age equal to 19 for an example, then 19 is being assigned to age is the variable. Okay, so age variable contains the value 19. If I write to print age, then the value will be printed as age as 19. Okay, you all may try this thing. Okay, so syntax variable expression, I think of the various part, right? Then so if we assign any variable, right, like this thing, so syntax of variable and expression, you can find easily the correlation, I think. So example is being also being given. So if I wish to calculate the pay of pay rate into hours, then I can easily just use this formula, and I'll put the value of pay rate as something 10 and hour as 40. So by multiplying both, I will get 400 as pay. Okay, so this is basically the example I have just demonstrated in a chart order, like before anything, the expression, and during the execution time, and after the execution time. So after, we can find that after the execution time, before and after are similar. Why? Because the value is being assigned from an expression to a variable. Okay, so this is the Python session. Okay, just once you download, you will be getting to know all these things, and the arithmetic operators or anything is being done in a much more feasible, we can see here, right? So the thing is quite easier, right? Here you can also find the order of precedence or the importance, right? So the bracket or the braces where the operation is being done comes as a higher preference. You can see 12 minus 3 is 9, and 9 into 4 is 36. It's simple as that. Okay, so about the floats or other numeric data types, that it will have a decimal point, and for double it has very large bytes of storage. Okay, in the comments, as per the comment section, we all know that whenever we put any hashtag on anywhere on a line, okay, everything following this is ignored. Ignored means it is not considered as a code. It is considered as a single block or a statement. Okay, which Python will not understand because it is given in hashtag. It will consider as a comment for the benefit of the coder. Okay, so for the documentation in our program, or to make our program much more user friendly and reliable for everyone, we put command lines. Okay, for the numerical input, just this is the syntax. You can see, you can use assignment statement, variable, and the input prompt. Okay, and prompt will be in the user quotation marks, and parentheses you can use or you can't use, it's up to you. And the prompt will be displayed when the user will enter a number, and the value will be stored in the value of the variable. Okay, for an example, a equal to 5 as an assignment operator, everything will be just come into existence, and the input will be stored in the user part as well. Okay, if I want to say a equal to print enter your name, or input enter your name, so the enter your name as well as a string, the it will be taking as an input as my name. Okay, so print statement is basically for printing the value of the expression that is being computed, and displaying the value is the basically of the semantics part. Okay, so several expression can be printed. Okay, you can use several print statements at once, and for the output we use the statement in the form that print and the expression, nothing else. Okay, so for an example of Fahrenheit to centigrade, it is basically if we to convert this entire thing, we require this basic formula that C by 5 equal to F minus 32 by 9. So to use this formula, we will be considering this data type or float data type or double data type because it may contain uh, the value as an integer, a decimal part. Okay, and if I get the answer in the decimal part, if there is an integer, it will round up the value, so we will be getting the error, not the exact value. So we can use the float type for the temperature as well as the double. Okay, so here a simple illustration is being given. Okay, you can see that Fahrenheit is enter the Fahrenheit temperature. I have already shown that how to take the input from the user. So this is the syntax of taking the input in Python, and you can also execute this entire block of code as well. It is very much simple, right? You can also try it now as well, because it does not take any a difficult task. For the numbers, basically it is the usual suspects are I have written here. So for style making and shifting, you can use these things. And integer division truncates, you will be just every the errors that usually faced is giving illegal symbols or sometimes giving hashtags. If we give any hashtag, I have already told that if you give any hashtag, the entire thing is not being counted. So keep this thing in mind that whenever you put any hashtag, just it will be a command line. Okay, and for arbitrary precision, we can use a long integer or long data type as well. So coming to the strings, strings is basically a sequence of character. A character means an alphabet. A, B, C. It's a character. So sequence of character is basically a string. For an example, engineers connect. Engineers connect is a string. Okay, so there are various kind of operations like concatenation. Okay, various kind of functions, various kind of operations can also be performed on a string. Okay, single quotes, double quotes, as well as indexing. Okay, everything can be performed on string. Slicing, I will be showing you slicing as well, to one or two slicing as well in the coding part. Okay, there are very kind of escapes as well, so which can also be used in strings part. And in the string method, assigning a value to the variable is the initial thing. Okay, and then if I use this following function, okay, there are few functions that being given. You can see this code. There is a screenshot that print hello world. Okay, so hw equal to hello world. So if I want to put the title that everything will be given in the output, as well as if I want to print in the uppercase, I will use this function dot upper and will be printed in the uppercase. If I want to know that whether it is digit or not, I will use the isDigit function and it will return either true or false. IsDigit function, either true or false. So it will be giving output as a false. Okay. So if I want to know that it is in lowercase or not, so it will be also being given as true because it is a Boolean function. Okay, so string method is basically a held inner variable. Okay, though it remains the same, and this method returns an altered string every time. Okay, so if the changing the variable, it will be requiring a reassignment, and whenever you assign anything, the new value is being stored in the new variable. Okay, so other Python objects are very important thing like lists. Okay, tuples, dictionaries, everything they have their own set of methods. Okay, you can see that what is a list. So you can see that it is represented in third braces, that what is a list, right? You can see that it is basically to store multiple variable. You can see 1 2 3 banana, everything you can store in a single variable. Okay, so it has basically one of the four built-in data types in Python. So and the other three basically are tuple. So they are mutable set of strings lists, but tuples are immutable, can be changed. Okay, so if you and in a single brace you can represent a tuple. Okay, so in the dictionary part, you can also see there the various association of array. There is a list and a key. The part of dictionary is basically a list and a key. You can see. So basically, to create a dictionary, associative arrays or hashes can be considered, and it will have its own set of methods. Okay, so immutable order sequence of items can be represented as a tuple. Okay, and it can be of mixed types, including collection of various type of data. Okay, and strings are basically they are also immutable like a tuple, and in the list it is basically mutable, and they are the ordered sequence of items of mixed types. Okay, so the basic difference between a list and tuple is list is mutable but tuple is immutable. Okay, so for an example I am just given, you can think of a list of a stack of card in which your own information is written, and then you can check that the information stays in the order you place it until you modify. Okay, and the methods will return a string or subset to modify or remove that component. Okay, and written as var index. Var index basically a list. Okay, the index refers to order within the set, and you can step through this as a part of loop. So this is basically about a demonstration of how list works. Okay, so I have also given an example: flexible arrays or same operator or a string as an item and a slice assignment as well. Okay, so these are all example of strings. You can use multiple data type in a string, and in the list the following functions, right? A range of 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, indexing is being done. If I want to add 5, I use append function, add 5. If I want to pop, we to move out, you can see everything is moving. If I want to insert 42 in the 0th position, then you can see in the 0th position 42 is being inserted, right? If I want to remove or reverse the entire list, or then the reverse function is being used, and in the sorting part everything is being sorted in the ascending order. Okay, so these are some basic functions, and the list method is basically about adding and removing. Okay, adding to the list is basically append function is being used, and for remove function the removing is being used. Okay. So in the arc toolbox you will create the list as a layer of input. Okay, you can see these layers, and there are various attributes to match as well as the array of objects. Okay, and the list of field name and the selected features will also be given. Okay, you can see this in a list of 1, 2, 3. However it is in whichever way it is represented. If I assign a to b, then the b value, the b will be at the same list as a. So both of them, you can see both of them are ready, have the same values. And if I want to append 4 in the entire, then similar to a, b will also be getting a list with 1, 2 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. So coming to dictionaries are a set of key and value pairs. Right, I have already told key and value pairs. Both are being given because it is a very instrumental thing for identifying values by a descriptive name instead of any order in a list. And the keys are very much unique. Okay, because items are stored and it will print the values. Okay, and they are unordered unless they are explicitly sorted. Okay, in the sorted order we will be getting. Okay, you know about explicit and implicit. Just I am just telling it once again that basically in the explicit type, the explicit within the program, the data type is being explicitly defined, and the implicit type, the everything is defined by its own. We need not to define the data type as an integer or a string outside the, or intentionally in the program. It is being declared on its own. Okay, so there are similar to this, there are some demonstrations of dictionaries as well. Okay, you can see that the keys value is on the items. Okay, and you can also see that the delete, insert and overwrite, right, the giving the hashtag as a using as a comment line. So these are the basic part of dictionaries. Okay, so key, these are, you can see, right, keys and items, and yeah, and the values are being stored. Okay, so in this way everything can be processed and the keys must be immutable. Okay, and it will be listed in an arbitrary order because of hashing. Okay, so basically what are the concept of dictionary is, I think it is clear to everyone. Okay, so now I will be just telling you a bit about hashing. So it's basically a built-in function. Okay, and will return the hash value of an object, it has one. Okay, hashing, it will return the value, hash value as an one. Okay, and the hash value basically contains an integer. Okay, it is used to compare the dictionary keys while looking at the dictionary. Okay, and the tuples are similar to the list, but I have already told the basic difference between them is they are immutable. Okay, once created, they cannot be changed. So example of a tuples are also being given. They are not basically, and you can see this uh, the tuples. Okay, they are represented by a single brace. You can also execute this on your own. Okay, I will be just tuples. I have given the difference as well. Tuples are immutable. They can't be changed. And variables, they are no need to declare in Python. They need to initialize, just nothing else. And they are not typed actually. So everything, when you write if a equals to 3, a automatically being assigned as a variable in Python. Okay, you no need to write int a, int b as you do in C. Just similarly, just directly write a equal to 5, b equal to 6, then c equal to a plus b, print c. You will be automatically getting the result, right? 6 plus 5 equal to 11. Okay. So now the most important thing is indentation and blocks. Okay, it is very much a crucial thing. Otherwise, you will be getting errors in your codes. So Python basically uses white space or indents to denote the blocks of code. Okay, so lines of code that begin a block end in a colon. Okay, and the lines are they are using a code block are indented at the same level, and to remove the indentation, code block should be ended. Okay, when the certain conditions are met, then automatically the indentation will be removed. Okay, so these are the grouping indentation. You can see that automatically the indentation comes whenever I execute this for loop where the set of statement is being executed. Everything is being followed in a sequential order. Okay, it does not take very much lines or very much trouble of giving the braces. You no need to give any braces. Automatically indentation will come into existence. Okay, so coming to the control structure part, if the similar syntax is being executed, if condition statement, if the condition is satisfied, then only the else if condition will go, and if it does not satisfy, then according to the statement given, the following execution will be takes place. Similarly to the while condition, the set of statement will be executed as well as for a for loop as well. Okay, so conditional branching is basically about if else structure only. Okay, and if else else if structure will be allowing you for additional branching as well. Okay, and if else structure, if the condition matches, then only in every programming the same logic is being followed. So now coming to the functions and procedures. Okay, so I will be giving you basic example of functions. Then the thing in the entire thing will be clear to you that however function calling takes place. Okay, what is the significance of the return statement? Because defining def name is basically defining a Python. Okay, and we pass the arguments, and basically the code of statement is being executed. Okay, and in the return we will be just doing this particular operation, that whatever operation we want to return from the output, and from the main function the entire operators will be called, and the following execution will take place, and finally the deleted output will be given. Okay, so this is basically a short example of a function. Okay, a parallel assignment is being done to calculate the greatest common division, and you can see that whatever the result is. So what is a class in classes in Python? Okay, so you can see that I have given a short examples that what is a class, right? So basically it is an outline of creating an object. Okay, so an object is basically anything you use to manipulate. You can manipulate it, you can change it, you can rewrite it, you can instantize it, everything you can do it on your own. So the instance of an class is an object. Okay, so for an example, just to create a new class from a new type of object, you need to allow new instance of that type. Okay, and the user defined class is basically the blueprint of or prototype from which the objects are need to be created. Okay, so the example of a class I have just given an example of a class for the class stack. Okay, and I have been initialized defining this self and passing a constructor. Okay, and then the following block of statement that are being given, you can see the execution is being done, and then what happened, I have just given a loop as well, and finally I am also defining a function as well. So for an example, correlating you with the concept of constructor as well, I am just repeating you that it is basically a special kind of method, okay, that Python calls when it immediates an object using definitions. So to use definitions or to use various kind of functions, it is a special kind of method, that is the constructor. Okay, so constructor is need to call a class. So using a class, you can simply call an object, right? No new operator is being required. And to use the methods of instant, you can also call using dot notation, right? X dot empty, x dot push, x dot empty. You can do all these things. It is very free. And subclassing is basically you can see that I have defined a class. Okay, so for an example, fancy class. Okay, so now stack with enable ability to inspect the inferior stack items, right? So what is the subclass doing? Subclass is inheriting the variables and methods from its superclass, and they can declare within the class itself. This is what the concept of subclass lies. Okay, so basically, just to define the function once again, the subclass is calling from its superclass, and again it also being derived to another class. So derivation of one class is a subclass. It is a derived class actually. Okay, so instant variables classes, I have already told that what are the instant variables. So the rules basically are this works method of lookup. Okay, self x or search order, and on assignment via instance, it always makes an instance variable. Okay, and class variables are by default, they are also always the instant variables. And for looping, I have already mentioned you, it's just replenishing once again, that it allows you to block over a code for a certain set of times, and it has a great scope of manipulating all the lists. Okay, key as well as the loop, and we can use a for loop to perform the geoprocessing of tasks. We can also enable a various kind of feature class loop over each and checking the attributes, and also anything in a sequence or a list we can use a for loop. Okay, so modules, now what are modules? Are basically an additional pieces of code that are used to extend in Python's functionality. Okay, to extend the function functionality of the Python code, modules are being used as an additional piece. And Python comes with useful modules. Okay, so it has a typically specific function, additional math function, database, network, etc. So importing modules, you can see in the Python itself, that collection of stuff in a file. It contains us subclass variables, and it also contains various kind of imported with renames. Okay, so they are simply with the .py extension. Okay, modules are basically .py extension, and it can be imported inside another Python program. No need of any difficulties. If we had the .py extension, then it can be simply inserted in another Python program. Okay, and it is various kind of definition or statements. Okay, and the modules can be accessed using the import function. Okay, they are the subsets of function, as well as they can also be addressed by module name dot function. Okay, so os dot path is a subset within os. Okay, so import sys os, it also helps in importing the two modules, one is sys and one is os. Okay, so these are the part that are being covered in the module part. And a brief idea about the packages, what I can give is packages basically a collection of modules in the directory. Okay, so what package is, in a simple word, is basically a name with initialization as well as name underscore initialization init underscore dot py file. Okay, so it is basically the syntax that how to identify the packages. It have underscore init underscore dot py file. Okay, and it may contain the sub packages. Okay, and from the import syntax, we can identify it as a package or not. Okay, so basically what we can understand is from the package and the module part, the file should be in the module part, it should be .py file, but a package should have underscore init underscore dash file. So this is what the basic difference lies. Okay, and a module is a single file of Python code. Okay, but Python but packages may contain sub packages, it may not be a single file. Okay, there are various kind of catching exceptions as well. Okay, you can see that in Python we can find various kind of catching exceptions as well. And you can see this one, that def that I've defined a function as well. So these are all the catching exceptions, because except zero division error, the message can be printed. Okay, so this is the concept of catching exception in Python. Okay, and whenever these catching exceptions come into existence, right, whatever the finally block of code runs, okay, and the try blocks will raise another exception. So this is what the except block will run and the final block will run. Okay, similarly the raising exceptions will raise an index error. It will also be try something or exception, right? The exception will be just to catch out. Okay, try and raise. So this method will be catching the exception raised by the program, and raise the exception will trigger the exception manually. Okay, so you can see there is a manual triggertion. Okay, so this is what the difference lies, try and trigger. Okay, so files in Python are manipulated by creating a file in object. Okay, and the file object then has two new methods, and they can be accessed to read and write. Okay, so they are like iterable objects, like lists, everything. So file object can be contain a file name and various kind of methods as well. Okay, mode can be RW or C Studio. Okay, and it can be appended for a text and translation mode as well. And the various kind of methods are also there for objects. Okay, so standard library are the core thing are OS, SYS, string, get opt. Okay, regular expressions are RE module, everything. Okay, and in the internet part you can see socket, HTTP, okay, and the miscellaneous part PDB debugger are also being there. Kinter, in the Kinter you can also make a GUI. Okay, the Kinter interface of Python as a standard library. You can also make a GUI with a Python. So what is error capture? So error capture is basically to type assignment errors, items not in the list. Okay, try and accept. Try means a block of code that might have an error, and except means a code to execute if an error occurs in a try. So these are the different things in a capturing the error. Okay, so this was all about my just demonstration and giving you an overview about the terms and conditions so that everyone can, of you can get familiarized with what Python is. So now I will be just showing you some codes, a couple or some codes, so that you can get an idea about how to get familiar with this language. Okay, just I am stopping my sharing and I am sharing a new screen. uh, Please confirm that whether it's visible or not. Just checking. Yeah, let it be connected. Okay, and just you will I will be just sharing the link of this entire thing as well in the chat box, so that you can also get a follow up about what the code that I am writing. Okay, so I am also providing this link of Google Colab in the chat box of everyone as well. Okay, yeah, I am requesting everyone mm, just you all get redirected to this Google Colab page, and I'll be just showing you 2 to 3 codes so that you can be gain ample of interest about this language, right? So as I've already said you that you no need to write any declaration as well. So I am just doing a simple addition. Okay, a equal to 5, b equal to 6. Okay, and c equal to a plus b. Now I'll be printing b. Okay, let me check. You can see that how much simpler it is, right? So you can also perform, if I want to perform multiplication, you can perform this multiplication. So this is a very easy code and a basic code to get started with Python. Okay, so you I think you all can do this, right? So basically this is about calculating. You can also perform if I want to do some branching or in bracing part, if you want to do in braces you can do a plus b and you can add 6. You can also check out the result. Okay, it will be giving 36, right? Yeah, it's giving 36. I hope you all are getting these points, right? You all can answer in the chat box as well. I can check it out that whether you are getting my point or not, because these are very basic things. Okay, no need to get worried about, and you can use this excellent platform at Google Colab. Okay, it will be giving you the interface of working with live codes. Okay, so now I will be just showing you how to create an object, right? Or will I show something else? Okay, let me just define a function itself to know that to get to make everyone familiarized with Python. Okay, I will be just showing you on function programming. Okay, so I want to show one thing. So I am just calling this show function. Okay, and I am just printing a message that to make it more interactive. Okay, I am just printing it, welcome to Engineers Connect. Okay, and how will you be welcomed? That is basically about the code. Okay, we are welcoming you actually in this code. Welcome to Engineers Connect, and I am just printing it as a skill specific platform. Okay, it is very simple. Okay, skill specific platform. Okay, so now I will be just showing you that whatever the thing is. Okay, and I'll be just able to print about the jobs and internships. Okay, fine. Let me check that whether this code works or not. If I find, yeah, I got an error. So yeah, I have got an error in the show function, right? So what will I have to do? That I will now be showing the show part. Okay. Pardon, this link needs access. Yeah, I've given the access. Can't you get that? I've given the access. Hello. Can't you please respond in the chat? I have already given the access. Okay. I'm just continuing a bit. Okay, so where I left, right? It's about defining the show function. Yeah. So I'll be just yeah. So where I left, I was facing some network issues. Pardon for the delay. So I was just demonstrating you about the function part, right? So now I will be just showing you that about the function. Okay. So similarly, I am just coming back to that code once about the engineers connect. I don't know whether the function is not running in Google Colab or not. I am just showing you one code to calculate uh, what I say, the sum. Okay. So I can use, I am just facing some network issues. Please hold on, actually. Yeah, I think the issue has been resolved. I am just connecting, trying to connect. Actually, I am just lost access to Google Colab. Okay, and I am sharing you a revised link once to everyone. Okay, because I think there might be network issues from my end. So I am just sharing this link to you all once again. You just check it out. Okay. Yeah, I have shared the link. Kindly check everyone that whether you can access this link or not. Okay, and I'm sharing my screen once again. And now it will work, I think. Yeah, I think it's working. So welcome to Engineers Connect. If I write this code, okay. So now a basic part of a function. Okay, you will be getting to understand that whatever the concept of function lies here, nothing else. Okay, so if I want to just print this message, okay, so what do I need to do? I just need to print this message again and the things in a structured manner. Okay, just I am just trying to interact, nothing else. Okay, so print skill specific platform, and if I want to display this entire thing, okay, yeah, and then I'll be printing out the engineers connect that it is jobs and internships. So let me check that whether this code is running absolutely or not. Yeah, it's running. Okay, so skill specific platform. Okay, you can see that I am just calling this function by this display method, and whenever I am calling, the automatically message gets printed along with the message that I have been given in the redirecting in the print function. Okay, so in this way we can also execute the same thing by calculating some addition or subtraction. Okay, let us do one thing, this thing once. So we will be defining a function named calculation. Okay, then we can pass a variable for an example n. Okay, and we will be returning the addition of this number again and again. And if I want to print, for an example, print we want to print the sum of the number. Okay, then what I will do, I will just initialize a variable named s. Okay, and what I will do, I will just use the calculation function to pass the value of the variable, right? Because the value of the variable n will be passed here. For an example, it's 5. Okay, and now I will just print. Yes, it's done, I think. Yeah, let me check whether this code is running or not. Yeah, you can check. Okay, the sum of the number is 10. Okay, in a similar approach you can also do all these things. Okay, it's not a big deal for anyone. Okay, I can also show you the addition of two number in a similar way. Just I will pass on the two variables. Okay, in one and n2. Okay, and what you need to do is basically to addition to perform the addition function on these two numbers. Okay, and then I will what I will do is in this function itself I will pass on two variables that will be giving us the absolute result. Okay, you can check this one out. Okay, so it's very simple. Okay, now we'll be wrapping up just shortly. So let me just show you some codes on branching and loop structure, so that you all can get acquainted with what the concept of looping lies. Okay, about the conditional and iterative statements. Okay, so let me show you for an example. If I take a input as a equal to 11. Okay, so I'll be just and giving while loop while a less than 20. Okay, and I will want to print the value of a. Okay, I want to print the value of a once again. Okay, and then in C or C++ you used to give, right, a equal to a plus 2. So that what we will be doing. Okay, let me check once that whether this code is running or not. Yeah, it's running. Okay, you can check it. Similar to the while loop, we can also check it for for loop as well. Okay, so you can use it a equal to a plus 3, or you can do it a minus 1. You can all try it on your own. Okay, so there is no, yeah, absolutely, Omkar. Yeah, so you can do it on your own as well. Okay, so similar to this, I will just show you the application of for loop as well. So for IT, I will show that for a, this is a syntax. Okay, just keep in mind the syntax, nothing else. You just need to know what the syntax is. Okay, syntax is very important, and the indentation. Otherwise, it will show you errors. Yeah, you can check that if I want to print the numbers from 0 to 10, I have just executed this following code and it's being done. Okay, just I'll be wrapping up. One or two more codes I will show. Now I will be showing you how to take the input from the user. Okay, just I'm just showing you one code to take the input. Okay, so I will be using the input function similarly. Okay, so I will be also taking a simultaneous input. Okay, and now I will be just printing it, and you can see the type conversion. Okay, this is the explicit type conversion that I am doing. And finally I will be printing the result. Just let me check that whether I have done any error or not. Yeah, I just forgot to Yeah, enter a value. I for an example I give 5. Enter a value. I give 9. So I can check that the sum of 5 and 9 returns an integer value as per my explicit type conversion, and it returns 14. Okay, so it is just simple as that. Okay, you all can try it on your own. Okay, so now just I will be showing you one list program finally, and we'll be closing our session. So for an example, how to declare a list, right? If I take list as an a equal to, in third braces, obviously I take 2 4 6 9 7. Okay, and I want to, for an example, I want to print this list. Okay, so how can I print? I will just give print. Okay, the list is printed. If I want to know that what is the data type, so I will just write the type. Okay, it's simple as that. Okay, now we can check. It is a class of int. If I want to know what is the address, okay, the address of the variable, I can also check it by giving this function id. Okay, it will give the address. Yeah, you can see that this is the address. So similarly, just 2 3 more functions. Okay, I can also call a list as an example. I can also give a string. Okay, in double quotes for the cvq. Okay, and I just want to add one thing. Okay, so what I will do, print a dot append. I want to add 5. So you can see it is none. Okay, so similarly, now I will check that whether it will be executing or not, and I will check the list once more again. Okay, so one more function I will just show you, that printing the list in an separate order. Okay, so you can see the various functions as well. Okay, if I want to do slicing, okay, this is an important part. It is just about the I is emphasizing a touch about the higher advanced part. So it is about the slicing. Okay, so I had a mistake. Let me check whether this code runs or not. I have done error in the braces part. Yeah, I can get it. Yeah, so now I am just checking that. Yeah, let me check that whether slicing is being done or not. Yeah, you can check. The entire list is being sliced. It is slicing. Okay, it is printed. Okay, if I want to print the value at position number 3, I will also be getting a, you can see 0 1 2 3. The value 9 is being printed. Okay, in a similar manner you can do, if I do -1 from the back, from the rightmost side, the execution will return and this string will be printed. Okay, so this is what, if I want to perform sorting, then if I will put a dot sort, then everything will be reversed in ascending or descending order. Okay, so this is what the basic concept of this entire programming lies. Okay, so now it's just over to you. So if you have any questions, okay, you just put forwarding in your chat box. Okay, I'll be just answering all those questions. Anyone any questions, please start putting it in the chat box. Okay, we'll be answering all those things. You can start doing that. Any questions, anyone? Okay, so I am just sharing a feedback form with you once. Mm, You just fill it up for your certifications. Okay, just a minute. Yeah, so any questions, anyone? Which one is giving error? Which one is giving error? Let me check it once. Wait. Okay, just wait. I am just checking it once from the back end. I think we might be facing some issues. Please check it once again. Whether it's working or not, and after successful submission of feedback, uh, you may leave the session and we'll close it officially. Okay, okay. Thank you, Akash.
Thank you so much, Utsav, for conducting this webinar for on the behalf of Engineers Connect. And thank you all for joining this wonderful webinar which we had. We really had a good knowledge or idea what exactly Python is and the basic coding knowledge which you have provided us. And we really expect this happening continuously, like expect Utsav, you coming up forward and giving us this wonderful experience of us and sharing knowledge with us. So thank you so much all. Thank you Utsav for giving such a wonderful webinar. So I would like to conclude the webinar here. Thank you guys.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, everyone.